Hi people. I don't know if I should say welcome to my YouTube channel. If I ever do a YouTube channel, this will be the first video. Yeah, I usually do these videos on my WhatsApp status, but they're short-lived, so I thought of where I can keep them for future use in case I want to watch them. I'm my biggest fan. I am my biggest fan. So, if I ever do a YouTube channel, this will be my first video because I love this story. So it's the Christmas season, and long ago, Orato called Watuka, before westernization carved in so much in us, before we left Jesus Christ, before we left living as a society to living as individuals. This was the time where it was visitation time, family visits, so it was in I live in Uganda, Africa, so I don't know how you people in other countries term these things. So in Uganda, it was the third term. Each year, when children are studying, each year has 3 terms. The first term, which usually goes from January to April or May, and then the third term that goes July to maybe October, and then the third term that goes up to, sometimes it ends in November, other times 1 week into December. So immediately third term closes, your parents have already told you, we are going for Christmas at so and so's place. So our place, our home, where I grew up from, was the place where they used to visit. I didn't go out for Christmas when I was young. I don't remember going out so much for Christmas, no. Our relatives, cousins, aunties, they used to come here for Christmas. So they used to come here for Christmas. So we had games, since we are different children coming from different families, as much as you're coming from the same clan, you're not coming from the same upbringing, we're not coming from the same social status, we're not coming from the same schools. Children learn habits in schools. So we had games that were uniform to most families, that took our time and helped us learn a thing or two from each other. Our great-grandparents sent us these games, these songs they taught us when we were young around morals. And in those times, a woman was groomed for marriage. Like marriage. When we grew up, when you sit a certain kind of way, they tell you, when you're sitting like that, is that how you're going to sit in your husband's house? When you're talking to a person like that, is that how you talk to your husband? And mostly these were aimed at a woman. I can't mention one song, one game that was teaching men how to treat a woman. No. In those times, men were like demigods. But, so, the song went like, there is one story. There are a lot of stories, so I'll start with one. People born before 2008, before the 2000s, you should be familiar with this. Kids of the 90s. So it's a story about a girl. Someone is calling me, but I'm not gonna pick. It's a story about a girl who was the only child of the mother, and the mother died when she got married. By the time she got married, the mother had died, or when she got married, the mother died, something like that. So when she was in marriage, her mother was not there. But because she was the only child, her mother never allowed her to do anything. So she basically did not know how to do anything. And when she went to the garden, because those times digging was a basic skill, since women did not work, like go away and then do what, they were majorly housewives. So you had to dig in order to pass time. And when she went to the garden, she couldn't dig. So she would sit there and cry. Jangu mama go Jangu mama gawa kozange chejo. Boli chenkola omusajja tusima. Boli chenkola omusajja nvuma buvomi. And when she sang this song over and over, the ghost of the mother would come and dig for her. Same thing when she couldn't cook, because unlike this age of noodles, rice cookers, things were manual. Like you would cook matoke for 3 hours. That is basic, like cooking. And then there is a thing of kubobeza. You would keep matoke, like you can cook matoke today. It's around 11 in the morning. It's 10:32 in the morning, and you will cook it up to 1 p.m. Then that it's ready. You have some for lunch and keep some. You can keep that matoke hot till tomorrow this same time. Without warmers, without ovens, in banana leaves. And they used to cook guineas for almost 7 hours. That's actually why we had our mother cooking. We don't like her cooking because when she cooks, she's going to start at 7 a.m. and you're going to have food at 6 p.m. She's going to cook guineas for around 8 hours and then steam matoke over and over. And rice was cooked in things we call them box. I think I'll do an episode on that. A video on that. Look at me promising you things. But these things kept women busy. They would go to the garden maybe at 6 and come back at noon. The food you cook at lunch, you keep leftovers that you go with in the garden in the morning. So after cooking lunch, they again go back to the garden and come back at 5. So they basically had no time for Lugambo. Lugambo was at the well, maybe fetching water. Maybe when you're digging and then there is a place you meet at your land boundaries. We call it Old Salo Salo in Uganda. So Njabala couldn't do any of that. She couldn't cook. All she did was maybe escort the mother at the garden when the mother was alive. So when it was time for digging, she would start singing Njabala, Njabala. She would start singing Jangu mama gawangu zange cheto. So when the mother's ghost would come, it would get the hoe. A hoe is a nkumbi. We call it nkumbi in Uganda, nkumbi. And she would start digging, go singing Njabala, Njabala, Njabala toli nsanzo muko. Omuko is the son-in-law. Your son-in-law is called Omuko. She would start doing and saying like Njabala, Njabala, Njabala toli nsanzo muko. Njabala, Njabala, Njabala toli nsanzo muko. Njabala bakazi balima bati, Njabala toli nsanzo muko. Ne basiga ne babaza, Njabala toli nsanzo muko. Okulima is digging, and then okusiga is planting, the seeds, and then okubaza is when you plant and the things grow, and they bear fruits. Yeah, bearing fruits is okubaza. So she would dig, or even mopping. Njabala, Njabala, Njabala toli nsanzo muko, Njabala bakazi bakola bati. Everything she does, she would be singing. She would be singing that Njabala. One day my son-in-law will find me doing this. So the moral of the story, they were teaching mothers and teaching us children to learn to do things, to learn to do work, because one day that person is not going to be there. Like you have one daughter and you're like, oh, my daughter, she shouldn't wash, she shouldn't do this, the worker will do this, the house help will do this. Maybe when you're no longer around, she will not be able to afford a house worker. Maybe life will not go the same way as it did for you, and she will have to do this, and she won't know how to do anything. She won't know how to do anything. And like this story is a myth. Maybe let's say it's there, but how many ghosts are going to come around and help you do things? So we used to do these stories, and we would learn. So next time you would want to know how to kusanika matoke, how to make that steamed matoke. You would know how to worship. You would want to know how to dig, because you don't want to be that girl who reaches somewhere and then you don't know how to dig. You don't know how to cook food for yourself, and you have to call it the ghost of your mother. So that is basically that. Yeah. So I think that is it for today. Look at me concluding a video. I'll tell you more stories, and then if I ever, I'll still say this, if I ever do a YouTube channel, it's going to be about poetry. That's majorly about childhood stories. I do poetry, I'm a poet, but I would say my poetry is biased. I do basically Luganda, that's my power section, Luganda poetry, which is mostly about childhood stories and growing up with a single mother. Ironically, I grew up with both parents, but I find it easier writing about the life of a single mother. I don't know why, but that's it. They are basically biased, single mothers. Yeah, and I do English. English, it's heartbreaks and pain. It's also ironic because I've never been heartbroken by love, and I would say I've been loved by the best people. Romantically, family, friends, I've been loved by the best people. But I find it easier to write about heartbreaks, though I never want to go there. Like the imagination, yes, I think my imagination runs so wild, and I don't like doing things that I know. I like writing out of imagination, but my imagination looks surreal. So if I do this YouTube channel, you will be getting some poetry, some stories like this. Yeah. And before anything else, let me defend myself. I'm a very inconsistent person with things to do with internet, with modernization, with mechanization. I'm a very local person by nature, but when you see me, I look very digital, but I'm a very local person by nature. So take a video, edit, upload, wait, I'll be very inconsistent, but trust me, whenever I bring something, it will be worth watching. So Merry Christmas. This is 2021. Merry Christmas. And if all goes well, if God allows for this to be, if He wants this to be, and I upload this video, expect another video before 2020 ends. This is 2021. Before 2021. Let me stop promising. I don't even know what year it is. I stopped functioning in 2019. So if I upload this video, I'll send you shorts in before 2021 ends. I'll provide for you some shorts. My name is mcnrietta, so it goes like mcnrietta. Let's go again. mcnrietta. Oh, mcnrietta. So in poetry I go by mcnrietta, and that's what the channel will be called, mcnrietta. mcnrietta, and that is all lowercase. Even Mac, when you're writing Mac, it's small m-a-c. Henrietta, you can start with a capital letter, but Mac, it's small m-a-c. Thank you so much for watching in advance. All who are going to watch, may God abundantly bless you and have a Merry Christmas. I think that's why we end the video, right?